Mythic! Mythic with a 4 rare deck. Let's go. Yeah! Smashing, smashing. Let's go. Here's Toby. He's a beautiful boy. This is Charlie. He's also a beautiful boy. Hey, it's Mythic Mike. We're going to discuss the state of the meta, and then I'm going to go through some cool cards that I think are underrated right now and have a lot of cool brewing opportunities. Then we are going to discuss the future of the channel. I am going to have to step away at least for a little bit. I will still make videos, probably on a lower frequency, but they'll still be bangers, so still like and subscribe, but I'll get into that more near the end of the video. Now, first thing, state of the meta. My favorite meta in a long time. The meta is amazing. The last season, Boros Convoke was the kind of deck that everyone had to beat in best of one. This is best of one standard specific. The reason why it's so good now is you can win with no rares decks. You can play any kind of deck you want, because the only thing you have to worry about, the one that is kind of taking off, is Slick Shot Show Off, the one turn kill deck. But the good news about that deck is all you need to counter it, put 2 Shoot the Sheriffs in, 2 Go for the Throats, and 3 cut downs in every deck. And if you're not playing black, you can obviously mix black with anything, but then just do something similar with that level of removal. You will need some hard removal in case they buff it, but there's red spells that do 4 damage or things like that. And you'll be absolutely fine. Then you can play any other cards you want. Unlike Boros Convoke, where if you didn't have board wipes or a very specific deck, you couldn't beat Boros Convoke with no rares, I guess would be the point. But you can easily beat the bird deck and then control. A lot of the temporary lockdown stuff has gone away a little bit because the bird deck kind of crushes that too, because it can just plot and hold. So because of that, we've got a lot more variety and cool decks, a lot of cool creature decks. We still have the landfall deck, but mono white soldiers is kind of making a comeback. So there's just so much cool stuff in best of one, and I could brew it forever. And that is, unfortunately, I wish I had the time to, which we'll get into. But the next thing is cool cards. Guys, there has never been a better opportunity to have budget decks. If you check my channel, I have a lot of cool ones recently. But my God, the one thing I've shown is there's this skeleton shell that you can mix with any color. And all you need is corpses. The reason you want, now this is the only rare I think even in here, but corpses, right, makes these 3/2s that come back to your hand. And if you want all 4, because if you have 2 of them, then they're 4/2s, right? And you just, Forsaken Miner. So just have, if you just have like this pile right here, these cards, mix it with any color, you're in such a good place. So let's go through this. Skeleton Lord. This skeleton 2/2, but it'll come in as a 3/2, right? And it can't block, but whenever you commit a crime, it comes back and it will have haste. So we got 8 skeletons. You can keep making these. Ashnod's Harvester, one of the most underrated cards ever. Pros really should take note. It's an artifact, and whenever it attacks, we're killing their stuff in their graveyard. It comes back from the dead for that final damage. You don't know how many times I've killed people because they kill my stuff, or I self-kill my stuff so it doesn't get exiled. And then I just have a 3/1 haste to do the final damage. Or I have 2 of them, and for 4 mana, I bring 2 3/1s back. So very, very sick. And Okiba, my God, each opponent loses 1 life, you gain 1 life. So that's 2 damage, 2 life, make a 2/2. What you make is an outlaw, by the way. And what's pretty cool, I mentioned this in a prior video, if you compare this to Rakish Crew, which is a 3 mana card that makes a 1/1 and then drains them when your outlaws die, not just your creatures. This is a 1 mana version that does 2 drains and makes a 2/2 outlaw, a little delayed. That's a 3 mana version that doesn't guarantee you drains, but might drain twice and makes a 1/1. This is a better version of Rakish, is my point. It really should be in any kind of race situation, which is what we're doing in the meta right now. So it's very, very good. And then Bitter Triumph is your removal for this kind of package. And again, you can package this anywhere. The reason being, you can discard a card as part of the cost, and you'll discard like an Ashnod's, or you discard a land, so that will have a descend trigger. A permanent goes on a graveyard to bring this back in your hand. So you can mix this with any colors. It is super sick. And then the other thing, I mean, there's so many powerful budget cards now. I've always shown you Sellsword plus Furnace Rains, right? Furnace Rains, you steal their thing when their creature hits, and you can attack with their creature. When it hits, you make a treasure, and then you can fling it at their face with Sellsword. And also, this plays as a creature. Just insane, the power level there. Life at Tajiro, also super sick, because kills things. The first two chapters are crimes. People are not playing this enough. So, I mean, this probably should go in this pile too, to be honest with you. At least a couple of them. But this is a flex spot. You know, it's not as good as the other ones, but it commits crimes, kills small things. And also, this pops out a creature at the end. This pops out a creature at the end without haste. So then what we'll do is, I've shown you in one deck, we play Coyote. That's the time Coyote's great. When you have creatures that pop out without haste. Another one I've not made a deck on, but I was planning on, and I probably will at some point, is this one's really good with those two sagas too, because it gives something +2/+0, or target creature gains menace and haste. So we can kind of guarantee, I mean, the turn that these pop out, we can play this to give something haste to get some value. Also, what's good with this is lifelink creatures. Ichor is a really nice underrated card, especially with things like Life at Tajiro that can buff it, or Ferocification, because we can do the +2/+0 on it, and it won't just be 2 more damage, it'll also be 2 more life, right? Bunch of cool things there. And I did kind of, on the whole hasty thing, I think Reckless Stormseeker needs a second look, because first of all, there's a lot of big things that can give haste. Also, people are not playing a lot of things on their turn. They're playing decks where they hold stuff up, and then it will turn to night, and we'll get this 3/4 that gives things +2/+0 and trample and haste. I think it is very cool. Now, another card that we have seen, but we've only seen in the Boros Convoke deck, but this is a flying, 1/1 uncommon. Return target non-fairy non-land permanent you control to its owner's hand. If a permanent was returned this way, put a +1/+1 counter on it. So 1 mana 2/2 flying. And we can do things. There's plenty of things in the meta that we want to return, including there's like a 2 mana artifact that does 2 damage, right? And then can make 3/3s. And there's things like that where, I mean, that's amazing. Also, what's kind of interesting is we can return corpses. Haven't gone down that path, but that's so like the return things for value, pretty cool. Return a saga. I don't think this has been experimented with enough. I think there's a lot of opportunities. In fact, I need to make that deck right now. Now, what else do we have here? Dowsing Device, always great. If you saw my Simulacrum blue deck, it actually works with the blue Simulacrum, which makes big artifacts when you play artifacts. And then this just gives your artifacts haste. There is a big artifact theme. I think this needs a relook because it's just so good, just giving your artifacts haste and +1/+0. This one is one I'm not positive about, but I think there's, I mean, look, you can copy your own creatures to have cool synergies pop off. You can make one of your 1/1s into one of their big creatures. So I think this is a really cool thing too that has not been experimented enough with. This is target creature. It's also a save. Target creature gains hexproof. You untap it, and until end of turn, it becomes a copy of one other target creature, your opponent's or yours. So very, very cool. Aloe Alchemist, a busted card. I've been talking about this a lot, but I mean, it's an adventure, but like an adventure card because it has 2 sides, but the second side's for free. So all you do is you can plot it for 2. You give a creature +3/+2 and trample, and then you get a 3/2 trample next turn for free. And if you want to, you can just play the 3/2 trample first. I think this should be going in way more decks, even if it doesn't synergize, just because it's a busted card. Last but not least, I showed this off in the beginning. Obviously I didn't know what the meta was, so I didn't put enough removal in that deck. And, I made it with Magna and another creature. I think there is a version of that we can tweak that'll be very cool, because this is just a busted card. Create a treasure token until end of turn. Up to 1 target creature gets +2/+2 for each treasure. There's a treasure, and also there's creatures that are treasures. So there's a 1 mana treasure dog that will count towards this. There's a green thing that makes a 1/1 and is a treasure, right? We have the 2 mana red guy that makes a treasure and comes in as a 1/1 haste. So you can just make a ton of treasures, and then this will make a treasure and give something like +10/+10. I definitely, if you check out my first deck in Outlaws, I definitely did a good start on this, but I think there's a lot of room for improvement. So yeah, those are my Guys, it's never been a better time to be a brewer. It is insane. Now, unfortunately, to the last part, so I'm a lawyer, partner in big law, and I've gotten some really high profile cases recently, which is super exciting for my career, obviously. But there's some on like a national stage you guys would have heard about. So if you see Mythic Mike on the news, let him know I can brew. But what that does mean is I really can't justify spending the time. I make a deck a day. It takes a lot of time. If you play my decks, I actually do try to make it so they actually are consistent and work. Probably don't always pass that test, but that takes a good amount of time. Of course, don't want to lower the quality. So I'm going to have to step away for a little bit. What to expect. I'd probably say, I'm at least taking a week off, maybe a bit more. But then, probably on a lesser schedule, I'll still make decks. And what's good is I'm sure I'll have a little more time to kind of brew like super masterpieces. So you're going to get these, a deck a day. I'm giving you, 90 to 95%, sometimes 80, right? But if I have some more time, I can just give you some 110% bangers. And like I said, the SLOGURK one is in the works. Don't worry, it will be coming. I left that, so I was forced to continue brewing, of course. So it's, exciting for my career. Obviously, it's it's like my favorite meta. I'm so sad. But, tough choices have to be made. I got to work out a little, get back in shape, yeah, I'll keep brewing. So definitely do still like and subscribe. I'm not going to completely go away. I love Magic cards. But the schedule is going to be reduced and I am going to have a little break. So I hope you guys understand. Hopefully this gives you some good ideas. You guys can brew some masterpieces yourself. And I'll be back, baby. Let's go.